Well, hello you wonderful people, I'm Amy or AWayfaringFrog and welcome back to The Sims 4. And welcome to another speed build from our career-inspired build series. So if you are unfamiliar or just wanted a little reminder, the career-inspired build series that I've been doing on my channel, I will link the playlist in the description down below if you want to check it out. But the idea is that I build something that is inspired by an existing career in The Sims 4, or just a way to make money. So I've mostly just done ways to make money in some of my past builds, but with Enchanted by Nature coming out, I felt like something to do with cowplants would be really fun because they feel very mystical, similarly to fairies, and also I've been wanting to do one for a while. I did come up with the idea before this pack came out, but now that it's out, I'm so happy because I feel like it was the perfect pack for it. As you can see already, we are building it's kind of a greenhouse. That's the purpose of it. I really wanted to use the new glass wall that came in Enchanted by Nature. There are some in base game, but the one I've used is from that pack. And the problem with it is that putting doors on that wallpaper looks a little bit odd, so I kind of included a bump out to be able to incorporate that wall into the build. But for all intents and purposes, this is a greenhouse, so it will have plenty of plants for your Sims to work on the botany career. Also, you might be noticing how much of an issue I've been having with getting roof plants on. It's really frustrating. I was kind of hoping they'd have fixed that by the time the pack came out, but it doesn't look like they have. I don't know why. They almost made it harder for you to be able to put plants on roofs. I feel like I could do it better before the update because I could just use cheats and do it myself. But now, even with move objects on, you can't place them where you want them. So you might have noticed that there. I did also cut out pretty much all of the footage of me trying to plant or trying to put the plants on roofs because it was so frustrating and it just wasn't worth watching back because it took forever just to find a spot that they'd fit. Even though it looks like they should be able to fit, they don't seem to like it, which is a bit of a shame. But the colour scheme that I ended up going here was this very pale wood. I was inspired by the horns of the cowplant. You can kind of see in the back of the lot. I grabbed one off the gallery just so that I could reference it because I really wanted to try and keep the colour scheme in keeping with the cowplant. So the darker purples and kind of maroon deep reds that you're seeing, they're all from like the leafy part in the center of the leaves on the cowplant's head. And then of course, because it's a plant, there's plenty of green. The only thing I didn't really do was lots of black and white. There is a cow themed wallpaper from Lovestruck, I think. I didn't use it, I'm not gonna lie. Partly because I was way too excited about Enchanted by Nature, but also I didn't want it to look ridiculous. I already feel like this is a bit out of my comfort zone because it's so colourful. You'll see when we get to the interior just how colourful it is. But I feel like the colours really suit with the cowplant. And what I particularly enjoyed with the two houses, which you can kind of see, is that they have inverted colours. So the roof on the greenhouse is, well, green, and then I use the other roof, so the one with the kind of wavy shingles, and I use the deep red colour, and then that kind of flips where we've got that sort of pale green using the almost dragon scale looking wallpaper on the main house, and then we've got the same dragon scale wallpaper on the greenhouse but in the kind of deep purpley tone. Also, I'm just gonna apologize again if you can hear a weird thing going on with my voice. I don't know what it is. I'm not ill, but something's happened in the last month, so hoping it will go away soon. I am seeing the doctor again to try and get it sorted, but I am so fed up of sounding all weird and gravelly. I don't love it. But anyway, enough about that. The floor plan for this build, can I just say, came together so easily. I was so happy. I think the only thing I added later on was a downstairs toilet, not a full bathroom, just a toilet. And that was it. I didn't really need to do anything. The walls I initially put were perfect. I didn't even cut any footage out of that. So for someone who was really bad at floor plans, I'm really proud of that. So hopefully you like how it's laid out, and it is a 2-bedroom house as a result. Something I did want to point out though, these big windows that come with that kind of slopey, roofy piece, I've put a few of those big ones. There is also a little item that's kind of a bit of a balcony I was really hoping it would fit onto that biggest item, that biggest window, but it doesn't. So I had to actually size it down to go on the side of the build because the just normal size that you get from within the gallery, it was too big for those smaller windows, but not big enough for the big window. So I'm not fully sure how to use that. I don't know if maybe I was just using the wrong window set because there are kind of two different styles from this pack and I just used the one for the windows and the doors. But yeah, I found that really odd. I am also just doing a bit of terrain paint here. I used one from Cottage Living. I was really sad that the kind of stony floor that comes in Enchanted by Nature isn't a terrain paint, so I kind of find it hard to use outside because it just looks a little bit painted on otherwise. So I went with this one from Cottage Living, and I don't think I've ever used it. Definitely not in the swatch. I've always found it a really weird one, but because it had loads of those pinky maroon tones, it just felt perfect. And then, of course, I'm just going around adding plenty of plants on the outside. It is a botanist build, or a Cowplant Enthusiast build is how I like to call it most of the time. I was really upset though. The one with the darker green, so not the wisteria one, but the one that's kind of more like an archway that goes around the window. I put that around the door on this greenhouse, but it does actually mean that your Sims can't walk through the door, even though it's really high up. I even shifted it higher up while I was playtesting. They still wouldn't walk underneath it, which I find ridiculous. So I ended up switching it out off camera to the other version, which is like that wisteria one that I've also put above the door for the main house. So it's really frustrating that because it doesn't look like it should get in the way of your Sims, but it does for some reason. So that's a pain. But we are now jumping over to landscaping, and I used pretty much just debug from the new pack. Sadly, we didn't really get any landscaping from just the normal build by menu, which I find so odd because fairies feel like something that, oh, and just the fact that it's all nature inspired. Like, where are the plants? It's so bizarre. There's just two bushes, and I did use them a lot. There is a perfect swatch for one of those bushes that matches the cowplant's leaves so well, so I made sure to use that a lot. It's the one that I've got on the roofs at the moment. But I was just so happy with how many colour schemes worked with the cowplant. I couldn't believe it, so I'm really happy that I waited until this pack came out to actually tackle this build. So hopefully you don't mind that it's been quite long since I put up that poll where I asked you all for what you'd like to see next. I think I put it up back in May, so it's been a whole month and a half, so I'm really sorry. But we are bringing this series back, of course. I really enjoy doing it. It's a lot of fun. And I've got some other ideas too, so I'll probably continue working on the ones from the latest poll for now, but I'll be sure to let you know when I put up a new poll, and hopefully it won't take as long between me posting that and actually doing the build. Anyway, I am just skipping through some of the landscaping. I cut lots of it out because it was so repetitive. There is a lot in this build. I really just wanted it to look super overgrown, so it took a while. And I did also raise up a little portion of the ground just underneath that arbor outside. So if you are wondering what I was doing earlier when I sort of lifted that, that's why. And that's all it was. Your Sims can still walk up it. It's not a problem. I think even horses could walk up it if you wanted them to. It only goes up by one level, but I just thought adding a tiny bit of dimension would be slightly interesting, so I wanted to lift it up a bit. I'd have lifted it more, but then it would have made the whole arbor situation really difficult to deal with because it would just be floating. And I am just grabbing some more cow plants from the gallery because that's where I got them from in order for them to be fully grown at this point. And I ended up just having 3 on this lot in total, which is quite a lot, I feel, to look after. So I think that's a reasonable amount, and it does feel perfect for anyone who is super enthusiastic about cow plants. You might have also noticed that behind one of the cow plants next to the greenhouse, I put one of it's an early purchase reward for the pack. Really hate how they still do early purchase rewards, but anyhow, that's one of the fairy houses. The one does come in the pack, and then the other one you have to buy the pack early. I actually kind of prefer the one as well that you have to buy the pack early for, because I just love how much more subtle it is. And yeah, it's just such a shame that it's locked behind that kind of a paywall and it's limited time. But that piece is actually not functional. So I do playtest all of my builds, and I have playtested this. Everything works except that house. And the reason is because I didn't build this for fairies. I built it using the fairy pack, but I built it for a botanist. So I just put that there thinking that looks really cute. I kind of like the idea of having it back there, and if you did have fairies, you could always move it, and you might even be able to kind of teleport them behind the cowplant because it's the cowplant that's in the way. So you'd either have to move that or move the little house. So it's kind of usable. Just shift it somewhere else in the garden if you wanted to, but I didn't want to move it for the purposes of this build because I put it there just for decoration anyway, so I didn't see the point in moving it. In terms of furniture outdoors as well, I didn't actually add a huge amount because I was mostly concentrating on having all of these plants. So I just included a couple of benches. You can gaze lovingly at your cowplant on one of them. And then I do add a grill a bit later on. It's the one from the Toddler's Stuff Pack. It's just kind of whimsical looking, so I thought it would be a good fit for this build. And I also do include a little table and chairs later on, so there's somewhere for your Sims to eat if they did end up grilling. But now jumping into the kind of main feature of this whole build, which is the greenhouse. So this is obviously where, if you are a botanist in the game, you would probably spend a lot of your time because you need the gardening skill for sure. I'm actually a little bit uncertain now that I think about it whether you need any other skills. It's possible you need logic, and I'm not gonna lie, I was so distracted by Enchanted by Nature while I was building this, I didn't think to double check what other skills you might need. But if you did need logic, you could always travel somewhere to use a chess table. Otherwise, I feel like the telescope would fit in really well with this build, particularly the one from werewolves. So I am sorry about that. I probably should have researched that. I guess it's not a full botanist build as a result. It was mostly about the cowplants. That was what I had in my head. And the series is just a bit of fun. It's not necessarily the house that you need if you wanted to play a particular career. It's just kind of an excuse to use certain ridiculous items like the cupcake machine or the fabricator. But as you can see, this little greenhouse is coming along really well. The smaller pots that are on surfaces are the new ones from the pack, so they're indoor plants and you can put them on tables. I've heard there's a lot of glitching relating to them. I haven't looked at the patch notes for the latest patch from the Sims team, so I don't know if they fixed it. But when I was watching the early access of other Simmers, they kept jumping around and disappearing all of the time. I don't think I had any issues with that at all. So fingers crossed that means they've actually fixed it. Otherwise, it could be because I put them all in this part of the build, and then there's an entirely separate building where I finish decorating later, which is the main house. So because they're like disconnected in that way, maybe that's why I didn't have many issues. I'm not sure. But anyhow, I did also add a computer in here. It's the only desk in the house as a result, but it felt like a kind of a nice place to have one, to be fair. And I figured, again, if you did play in this house and had your botanist, then they could do all of their research or whatever they need to do on the computer while they're in the greenhouse. So it felt like a good space to put it. And if you did want to download this, it is available on the Sims 4 gallery, just under my EAID, AWayfaringFrog. It's also under the hashtag AWayfaringFrog, and the information for all of that is in the description down below, including everything about the lot if you wanted to know. It is quite an expensive build. It came out to about 100,000 simoleons. I did not build with a budget in mind. I was just having so much fun with all of the stuff, and also combining it with different packs. Like I mentioned, that terrain paint from Cottage Living just works so perfectly with Enchanted by Nature. And I think it actually ties in really well because it looks so whimsical. Like, I don't think I've ever used it before, or if I have, I probably used it in, I think there's one really green swatch. So it kind of just looks like grass rather than flower petals. And I think that one works in most spaces, but otherwise it's just so hard to use. I did also line it using the pebbles from, I think they're just from base game. So I think that helped add a bit more dimension to it as well. By itself, it just kind of looks a little bit odd, but that sort of adds more interest to the pathing, I believe. So you'll have to let me know what you think in the comments down below, because I've just never liked this terrain paint before, but it was perfect for this build, I thought. And now moving indoors to the super easy floor plan, which I'm so happy about how quickly it came together. When I was picking interior doors, I was kind of bothered to find out that the palest wood swatch that I've been using here, it doesn't have an interior door that is just that pale wood swatch, which meant that I had to use the one with the red tones. It was kind of okay, but because I was using that reddish tone as well as lots of deep purples, sometimes they kind of conflicted with each other. So it's not ideal. I think it still looks really nice and I made it work, but that was a bit of a disappointment to discover the kind of limitation in the swatches there. And now jumping into the kitchen, yet another disappointment of this pack is what is with the seam in these countertops. They just look so odd. I don't really understand why they've made them like that. It's the only countertop where you can see the seam between each piece. So I don't know if it was a conscious decision or if it was a mistake, but I don't love it. I do love the kitchen set though. It is very fun, so I did make sure to use it here. And I also used the sink from the set. It's a little bit weird in this pale wood swatch as well though. The colour of the sink bothered me so much, but just because of the gold accents on all of the cupboards, they made the entire sink like orange gold. And I really hate the colour. But it just went too well, and because it was new, I felt like, oh, I'll just give it a go. So it's a bit odd. It's definitely not my favourite piece, but in some other swatches it is really nice. I do use it in the downstairs toilet as well, which I don't show on camera, but I use the green swatch, and then the basin of the sink is much more of a neutral metal tone, so it kind of works better. So not all is lost. That is quite a nice item, just I seem to have picked the worst swatch here with this kind of pinky maroon colour, because not everything really works that well with it. But I am glad I used it. I think it was really pretty and it's perfect for a cowplant, as I mentioned. But now just cluttering up the kitchen, and I'm so sorry, but I am using the I don't know what I just tried to say there. The Clutch and Kitter Kit, I think. The Kitchen Clutter Kit. So it's just the best. I love it so much. I think it's a really good kit, and it's such an easy way to just filter for nice kitchen clutter. You don't have to sit there thinking like, oh my gosh, what was in, like, where can I find some cutting boards in a pack? I can't remember. Or what packs came with a stack of plates and things like that. It's just so easy. It's got so much really good clutter, and it's so versatile because the style of it feels like it can fit across multiple types of build. So I did really enjoy adding that here. I'm also a bit confused about this cupboard piece that I'm just decorating now. I had to use move objects and then this shelf unit, which just lets me place items at a specific height, but it came completely empty. There is also the kind of corner upper piece as well, which you can see it's completely empty too. I didn't clutter that one up there because I felt like that one would be more annoying when you put walls down and then you can still see the items on it. But I just find it odd that they didn't put any clutter on it. I kind of like it because it gives us the versatility to decorate it ourselves, but at the same time, it's really awkward because it's an item that disappears when the walls go down. So I don't want to have to alt place stuff there. Like, it needs to have slots at that point. So I found that like a really weird decision too. But anyway, jumping over into the entryway, I used this horse ranch item just to put the clothes in, and I think it works perfectly. It's got the exact same green swatch that we've got everywhere in this room, so I really did like that addition. I also can see myself overusing these little acorn lights everywhere. It's so cute. I really love that item, and depending on the swatch, the face expression changes as well, so it's just really cute. There's some real grumpy looking ones and it's just adorable. So I'm so gonna overuse that, kid's bedroom or not. I'm having that everywhere in every house going forwards. So I'm sorry if you hate the item, because you're gonna see it a lot if you do watch my channel. But now moving over into the living space, I have the dining area and the living room in here. I do end up getting rid of one of the windows at the back in order to put a fireplace, and just shifted around some of the ivy that I had out, or the wisteria that I had outside, to be able to fit that. I was also really unsure about the colour scheme in here as well, because it just felt like the colour scheme I've gone for is so bold. I didn't want it to be too busy and too messy, but I think it came out well in the end. I ended up going with this white sofa with lots of green accents, and then there was a lot of the deep maroon reddy colour throughout the rug and then the wallpaper. I really love this dragon scaly wallpaper. I think it's so cool, so I'll probably be using that quite a bit going forwards as well. And it has a lot of really nice swatches. And then I included a couple of bookshelves here. I sized down the one with the tree and then used this much taller, skinnier one as well. The one with the tree really upsets me because it's so incredibly pretty, but there is nothing in this pack except for a frieze, I think, which you can use tall walls for, or medium height walls. None of the windows are that tall, none of the doorways are that big, yet to properly use that bookshelf item you need to have medium walls, because otherwise it clips right through the ceiling and into the floor of the floor above. And I just find it a really odd choice, because I get it with the frieze. If you do want to have medium walls, it's very useful to have the frieze. And that kind of makes sense, I suppose. But I just feel like that's the only indoor item that you can't put in a short wall house. And I just don't get why they made that decision. So I did size it down, which I kind of hate, because now it means it's not really, like, it's functional. Your Sims can still get books from it, I believe. There is a bookshelf next to it, so it's not the end of the world if not. But it means if they put like a plate on the shelf, it's gonna float, because I've sized the shelf down. And so the slots and any gameplay related stuff always stays in the same place. So I just really don't love that. There are some very questionable decisions with this expansion pack that I just can't quite get on board with. So you'll have to let me know what you think in the comments down below. I would be really interested to hear your thoughts. But we're now moving into the upstairs bathroom, and I used, again, I'm so sorry, but a bit of the sleek bathroom kit in here. I also brought in Realm of Magic for the toilet and the sink, because I didn't want to use the ones from this pack again, because they just didn't fit in with this beautiful splashback that I've used. It's such a pretty item. I love this. I feel like I'm going to use this a lot. I'd have used it more in the kitchen, but due to where I had the windows, it just wouldn't have worked very well, so I just opted for having it in this bathroom instead. And I just feel like the gold accents in here look so pretty, and again, the colour scheme really works with the Cowplant, I feel. So I really enjoyed this little bathroom. It does mean though that there's not a bathtub in the house, and I do end up decorating the smaller bedroom as a toddler room. So that is something to bear in mind. If you did want to play in this house, you would have to either hope that you've got Snowy Escape so that you can just wash your toddler in the sink. Otherwise, you're going to need to get a bathtub into the house somehow. So again, even though I did playtest it, I kind of thought, meh, I'm just gonna leave that. That's just an issue for another day, because I really liked the sizing of all of the rooms in this house. I didn't want to change them. So I'm sorry, there is not a bathtub. But you should probably be able to scooch some things around. You could always delete the shower as well and put the bathtub there instead. So that would be an option. But now we are into the toddler room that I mentioned, and I combined a few items from the Storybook Nursery kit in here. I felt like I wanted an open clothes unit in this room, and I didn't want to use the wardrobe at all from the Enchanted by Nature pack. A, because the wardrobe isn't open, and I like the idea of having more clutter in the space. And also the one that is open that you can just hang clothes onto as a separate piece, it's very mossy, and it just didn't feel like it fit in with the other items that I'd already picked out for this room. And just in general, it feels like more of an outdoorsy item. I love that we have it, don't get me wrong. I feel like we've got other shelfie items from other packs, so as long as you have those packs, you do have some versatility with that. So it's nice to have something different that isn't already in the game, even though it does kind of mean it's not going to get used very often. But I just felt like it wouldn't work in here because of that, so I did opt for the Storybook Nursery instead, and I think it works really nicely. I also made sure to use the new rug again. I've used it in a lot of rooms throughout the house so far. I haven't mentioned it though, but I love this rug, especially the dragon swatch. Oh my god. I didn't use it in this build, sadly, because the colours on the dragon swatch just weren't working for what I was going for here. But I need to build something with that because it is beautiful. And as you can see, I also brought in a lot of yellow into this particular room. This was more because it just felt really kid-friendly and it went with the colour scheme. So this one's not as cowplanty as the rest of the house, but also I feel like kids' rooms usually don't follow the decor of their parents' house. And you will have just seen that I added a couple of clutter items that had cowplant references on them, so I did make sure to bring it in anyhow. And now moving into the final room of the build, the master bedroom. So in here I used this gorgeous canopy bed. I think it's so pretty. I love that we have another one as well. I usually opt for Realm of Magic if I'm doing an occult style build because that's just the nicest one. But this one's so good. I think it's my favorite, my new favorite canopy bed now. I also used the curtains from the Businesses and Hobbies expansion pack because I just didn't love how the ones from this pack cover the windows. So it just looks really dark and dingy inside. So I wanted to have a bit of the window peeking out. And the colours of these actually tied in really nicely with the colour scheme that I already had going on, so that worked out well. And now of course sprinkling a few more cowplant related items around, I used the dining and side table for the side tables to the bed. It doesn't actually come with any bedside tables, but I just kind of repurposed these surfaces for that because I think it still works really well and I kind of like the asymmetry going on with it, so I thought that was a bit of fun. And I also added a few other things in, like this stack of base game totems. There's also an item that came from an event a while ago. I think it was the one around Halloween 2024. And it gives you like fishing, gardening, and maybe cooking skill all at once. So that felt kind of applicable again for a cowplant enthusiast. But now we are coming to the end of the speedable portion of the video, so if you have enjoyed it, please be sure to hit that like button. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and enable notifications so you'll know when I next upload a video. As always, let me know what you think of the build in the comments down below, and also if you've got any ideas for other builds you'd like to see in the future. But for now, I'll leave you with the screenshots. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.